Wyoming wrestling is quickly becoming a recognized force on the mat and respected on the national level. Head coach Mark Branch has the Cowboys on the course he expected, and they have an entirely new mindset from the day Branch took over the program.
There's just a different attitude. You know, they come in expecting to be successful, expecting to have a lot of support. And I felt like the kids when I got here were a little bit like whoop puppies. You know, they didn't think they were going to get treated very well. They didn't expect people to come watch them wrestle. They didn't expect to win.
What do you want me to tell you? You wrestled scared on bottom. You were too scared to come up because he was going to put a leg on you.
Yeah, I knew that.
But you were too scared. You have to do something when they're hitting you with stalling. You got to do something.
But I couldn't get down. The only other option was
you could. You could. You could.
I was trying to 5 minutes.
I'd never been around someone who had won national titles as both an individual and on a team, and so you know, he just has that mental aspect that I was talking about. That, you know, college from high school to college, there's such a change, and just your mental aspect, and he brings that to the table, and he's just got a competitiveness like no one I've ever known.
That is not two. That is not two, Charlie. You're out of your mind. Why do you listen to everything they say?
I had no idea that we'd be as good as we are now, and it's been awesome for me. Like I got to see Branch come in, you know, just like with Joe, and then watch us just slowly climb the ranks, you know, all the way up until my senior year. We're a top 10 team.
The success doesn't just happen with technique. Branch uses wrestling as a way to teach life lessons and mold the young men in the program.
You know, a lot of these kids, they come in and they've been babied sometimes, and they've had parents that have really looked out for them and held them under their wing, and they've never really had to make tough decisions on their own. They've never been in a tough situation that they had to find their way out of. And we really try to make that their daily life. If a guy was holding your head underwater, would you have reacted differently? Well, yeah, I would have. Well, then why didn't you? You know, why didn't you? I didn't see any just like panic, like, get this guy off my back. I got to freak out and get out. There wasn't that.
You scored! Get off your back. Come up now, come up!
The hardest thing about wrestling is it really emulates life. And I use that daily. And I don't talk about wrestling, I talk about life. And when I'm talking about life, I'm talking about wrestling, and when I'm talking about wrestling, I'm talking about life. And they're starting to understand that, because, you know, what we do is prepare them for the toughest scenarios you may ever face.
There's more that comes with the territory of just being a wrestling coach for Mark Branch. Sometimes the young men in his program need guidance away from the mat, and that's a role he's begun to embrace.
You know, there's a lot of roles that I have to play, and a lot of hats that I have to wear. And my AD the other day, after I was telling him some of the things, you know, just daily things that we had been going through, he was calling me Dr. Phil, you know. So sometimes I gotta put him on my couch and lay him down, and, you know, just let him give him a box of tissues, and and then when it's over, you know, I got to run them down into practice and be their dad again. You know, tell them to quit whining and get tough.
The Cowboys have felt success, and that, accompanied with Branch's desire to win, may only lead to more. The bar has been set for Wyoming wrestling and will continue to rise.
I mean, Branch has a mindset that's, you know, he's not going to be satisfied until we're competing for a national title, winning a national title. And so even some of the success that we've seen this year, you know, he's not satisfied.
When you get a taste of success, you want more. And not only more, but now I'm thinking of how are we going to be there every year. I want to be, you know, year in, year out, I want to be a top 10, top 5 program. And I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of how that has to happen, you know. So, you know, I'm just like, are you guys on board with me? And I think they are, you know. I think everybody's on board with what we're doing, and they're enjoying it. So to me, I don't see any reason to slow down.